we're going to break down this new program that is about to unfold. $150 million of free money, grant money, to build affordable housing. You don't want to miss out on this opportunity, especially if you're interested in some of the top 10 cash flow cities like Baltimore. This just was released a few days ago, and this is kind of like that big picture information. We'll zoom in. This was on September 10th, so not too long ago. Today, Mayor Brandon M. Scott announced the first application round for the citywide affordable housing TIF funds. That's a tax increment financing to support the redevelopment of vacant properties throughout Baltimore City. Now, I've kind of seen this coming from a mile away because there was, I would say about 2 to 3 years ago, I started to notice that Baltimore was just literally just riding around. Any property without a rental license, they're putting a vacant property license on it, no matter what it looks like. The properties don't even have to look blighted. They're putting out massive amounts of vacant property licenses and vacant property notices. And the reason they started doing that is because they wanted to tally up a list of what they viewed as vacant properties or properties that didn't appear to have anybody living in them, even though you could get a violation with a tenant in place, so that they could have those properties be available for a program like this. So in order for this, any properties to be qualified, you need to do the basic research to make sure that they have a vacant property notice associated with them. That's one of the qualification points to be able to get your hands on this free grant money. And this is, once again, grant money. Like, you do not need to pay this money back at all, which is, I think, pretty powerful. Now, an interesting part is they're saying the administration is taking on the challenge that's been ignored for generations, delivering $3 billion to end this crisis for good within 15 years. So there may be more money coming behind this initial tranche of capital. The initial tranche is going to be around somewhere between 62 to 67 million that they're going to release in the first round. And then they're going to do more rounds maybe midway through next year, and then kind of, so forth and so on until they unload the entire $150 million. But who qualifies? This is a question I'll get. Like, can I do this if I'm just a regular investor? Do I have to be an owner occupant? It doesn't appear so. From what I've seen, from the information I've digested so far, it says developers, community-based organizations, legacy residents, property owners within the TIF district, and stakeholders interested in neighborhood revitalization. There is a focus on developers who can step in and do multiple deals, who can go and try to build an entire block, and they will give you more money. Some of the grants I've seen released, because they've done some of this stuff in the past, I've seen individual developers get as much as 1.5 to 2 million as an individual investor, individual developer. So you can get your hands on a lot of money. You're not going to get the entire 150 million to yourself. So about the affordable housing TIF program, the purpose is going to provide up to 150 million in bond proceeds that will be made available through multiple application rounds. These application rounds start this week, so they're opening up right now. The proceeds will support neighborhood-based block-level redevelopment in Baltimore's historically disinvested communities. So these are going to be in those C-class communities where there's a lot of upside potential, there's a lot of value. There's the ability for your properties to 2 or 3x in value over the course of time. Eligible activities. This round supports the redevelopment of vacant buildings for residential use. So not really any commercial activity. Doesn't mean you can't do a 10-unit building and rent that out residentially to like individuals, but just not like true commercial real estate. That's not going to be in the works here. They've pretty much narrowed this thing down. One thing you want to know, they've narrowed this thing down to covering what they call a gap. There's a gap between what you can buy a property at in a city like Baltimore, especially in a C-class neighborhood, where the after repair value may only be $100K, where the properties don't have a lot of value. So if you bought them for $50K and put in the proper rehab, you would have more money in the deal than the appraised value. What this program will do is cover any gaps. So if you bought a property for $50K and put in $100,000 and it was only worth $110, they're going to cover a $40K gap for you. They're going to give you $40K forgivable grant money. So they're essentially setting you up to break even on deals